I think we have to first look at the latest rounds of negotiations. What were the results of those? And this is prior to the attacks on the nuclear sites, where actually the centrifuges were still active, and still the two sides in Tehran and Washington were not able to reach any agreement, whether it was about enrichment capability or a consortium. So when we're talking about a new round of talks, it's really unlikely for them to, one, be centered around a cohesive topic, and more than that, whether they can actually lead to negotiations. So, of course, the tactic here is to make sure that the ball is in Tehran's court. By doing so, we can actually ensure that if a further military strike is needed, it would be legitimized by failed talks.
What about this assessment from the French intelligence chief? He is contradicting the American and Israeli assessments about the extent of damage that was inflicted on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Who do you believe here?
So ultimately, the issue is not black or white, whether it's fully dismantled or not. It's a matter of whether it was postponed or not. And Iranians themselves admit that their nuclear program has sustained a lot of damage. But just strictly focusing on the centrifuges and the nuclear reactors in Isfahan perhaps might be a little bit surface level. We have to go beyond that. It's about capability as a whole, which leads us to the issue of nuclear scientists. So Israel being able to eliminate many people that were actively tasked with weaponization efforts. And you're talking about the Islamic Republic, where these individuals do not necessarily grow on trees. It is very hard to find a scientist that's actually able to further advance the nuclear program. So when we look at all the factors as a whole, there's no question that their nuclear program has sustained a lot of damage, but it's a matter of whether we want to look at this issue in the next 2 years or the next 5 to 10 years, and how we can better neutralize the threat. And the best avenue forward from the Israeli perspective seems to be leveraging the Iranian people to ensure that any operation inside Iran would be long-lasting.
And, of course, the IDF didn't just go after Iran's nuclear program. It also went after its ballistic missile stockpiles. And we saw the damage that those missiles caused here in Israel, some 500 ballistic missiles fired at Israel in the space of a fortnight. We are hearing reports that the Iranians are already trying to restock that arsenal with the help of China. Are they preparing for another round of war?
Well, the regime in Tehran is increasingly more paranoid, but whether Beijing would actively come into their aid in this capacity, what we've seen from China is that, yes, of course, they import Iranian oil, and they do provide different chemicals needed for ballistic fuels. But we have not yet seen China directly supplying Iran, whether it's going to be batteries or the fighter jets. And that would be a major escalation. You have to look at China in the context of Russia as well. Even though they enabled, to an extent, the war in Russia, they did not necessarily provide direct military support in that capacity. They help out with parts, or like I said, like maybe provide an economic lifeline. But for them to directly provide Iran, the Islamic Republic, with whether it's batteries, anti-aircraft, or arsenal, that would be a major escalation and a major recalculation on Beijing's behalf.
Janatan Sayeh at the FDD, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.